I've been a bookkeeper for over 8 years, and I use Simply Accounting, or Sage 50 Accounting Canadian Edition as it's now known. Simply Accounting was probably once good software, but it hasn't had any significant updates in years, and its user interface is now horribly archaic. There is so much great technology available that could significantly reduce the time we spend doing our bookkeeping, but Sage doesn't use it. Not only have there been no improvements, there are plenty of bugs in the software, ranging from mildly annoying quirks to problems that will cause actual errors in your books, and I'm going to demonstrate a few of them. These are not by any means all the problems that Sage 50 has, but they're the ones I encounter most often. There are a couple of annoying things that happen when I try to reconcile an account. The first thing is that the statement end date is never the last day of the month, and you have to remember to fix it before you import an online statement. This doesn't make sense because not only are most statements exactly one calendar month, even if they're not, the online statement actually has the start and end dates in it. The other thing that's annoying with account reconciliation is if you've scrolled down to see some transactions and then you switch windows, when you go back to your account reconciliation, it scrolls to the top. Let's say I want to clear this $50 transaction right here. When I click it, I end up clearing some other transaction entirely. There are more annoying things, like the inability to select an account by typing its name, but let's move on to problems with Sage 50 that will actually introduce errors into your books. For example, if you upload a direct deposit file, it defaults to uploading all your direct deposits, even the ones you've already uploaded. There's no warning that tells you you're uploading a direct deposit for the second time, and this can result in accidentally paying your employees twice. Here's another one that took me a long time to figure out. If you don't buy payroll updates, you can calculate your payroll deductions manually. But if the EI rate changes, which it frequently does, Sage 50 records your EI insurable earnings wrong, even if you calculate your deductions correctly and enter all the correct data. Last I checked, there was nothing in the knowledge base about this, even though it's been reported lots of times by users in the forums. If you've ever received a pensionable and insurable earnings review and your EI insurable earnings was too high, here's why. I'm going to pay this employee $1,000. Let's assume the EI rate has changed and he now has to pay twice as much EI. When we post this paycheck, we see that his EI insurable earnings are now $2,000. This is impossible because your EI insurable earnings cannot be greater than your gross income. So if you calculate payroll manually, remember that even though you've provided Sage 50 with correct data all year, the data it records is incorrect and must be manually corrected before you do your T4s. Finally, here's another problem with account reconciliation. I have a situation from time to time in which I charge my customer's credit card the same amount as I've refunded some other customer. And sometimes one of these transactions is on the last day of the month, so it is outstanding when I do my account reconciliation. If I import online statements, Sage 50 may clear the opposite transaction because it doesn't care whether the transaction is a withdrawal or a deposit. I've created an online statement that is going to demonstrate this problem. See how some of the transactions on the online statements are deposits, but they clear withdrawals on the books. The purpose of this video is not to convince you not to use Simply Accounting because there are not a lot of alternatives. There is QuickBooks, but some people such as myself think Sage 50 is the lesser of two evils. The people at Wave Accounting are doing some great work, and although Wave is not as fully featured as Sage 50, it's an excellent piece of software. If it meets your needs, use it. If it doesn't, you can continue to use Simply Accounting, but be aware that problems like the ones I've demonstrated do exist and Sage is making no effort to correct them. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope this helps you avoid some of the problems I've encountered when using Sage 50 and Simply Accounting.